Hey, welcome to Issues in Education, ISTE 2019 from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Vlada, Lotkina here from ClassTag, getting ready to talk a little bit about how she is helping to transform what we know about parent engagement. One of the things we know is that many of our parents want their kids to be successful, want to be involved with school, and sometimes there's barriers to that happening. So talk a little bit about that first. What barriers are you seeing to parents being really locked in with school?
That's a great question, and certainly we see a variety of barriers, and one of the fundamental difficulties in a classroom setting is that you have parents who are very engaged, a small portion of those. You have parents who are very hard to reach, and then you have everyone in between.
Yeah.
And then these parents have different expectations. They have different access, right? Some might be digitally savvy and all the time on their mobile devices. Others might have a flip phone or only access to paper flyers. And yet you're one teacher with a huge classroom, and you have to have the ability of reaching every type of engagement, every type of situation at once.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I noticed after I authored the book, Powerful Parent Partnerships, was this piece that we always thought of our parents as a single organism and not a bunch of micro audiences. So when you say, yes, some parents want a text, some parents want an email, I would say most teachers often don't know the working communication streams for their parents. How have you helped with that?
Yeah, certainly. So this is exactly where ClassTag, the company I founded, comes in. And we have the technology platform that has the brain built specifically to unlock those connections. And so when parents are invited to ClassTag, they have a choice of which modality they want to be contacted with. And so they can use it as SMS, as email, even paper flyers. So we will let the teacher know that who is not reading the communication, and they can press a button and get those papers and translated automatically in parents' preferred language, which is another big barrier, and then send them back in the backpack.
Yeah, I don't want to miss that part about language, but I'm going to go back just a second. I think oftentimes as educators, we don't know who has opened one of our emails. We don't know who has looked at one of our text messages. So I'm hearing you say that there's some analytics piece to the teacher that really helps us to say they might be opening and not responding is different than they've never opened.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so one of the fundamental things we did was we looked at all of the various breaking points along that communication journey. And actually, the very first breaking point is actually contact validation. It turns out that from our experience, about 10% of contacts are out of date.
Yeah.
And we are validating that, we are flagging that, and then from there on, we are tracking how parents are opening and engaging with those communications. And we roll it up into a single dashboard so a teacher can see their reach and engagement over time. We show parents their own level of readership and engagement to keep them on their toes and know that we are looking at how they are engaged and sort of building that system.
Yeah, now we go to language. I worked at a district that had the largest Bosnian population outside of Bosnia. And I remember how hard some of that was, because that's a pretty unique language, right? So how are you growing the number of languages you can support and really making that robust to fill what's becoming parents that speak lots and lots of different languages?
Absolutely, and we know that now it's a commonplace. It's no longer something unique where one classroom out there might have this problem. It's just a commonplace that teachers need translation. They need a way to reach parents that speak different languages. And I guess as a sort of first generation myself, and English being my second language, I can relate to the issue of languages quite a bit. And so we've enabled translation into 55 languages and growing, so we're taking requests constantly. Some of the, these languages are fairly exotic and out there, and we keep growing that list. And one of the fundamental things for us is that we start that translation from the moment parents are invited. So even before they join the platform, when they're welcomed and invited to the platform, they're already getting those communications in Spanish and Mandarin and Hebrew, and whatever other language you choose.
So what have been the unintended positive consequences? You have some schools using your program.
Absolutely.
Tell me a success story. Tell me something you didn't expect maybe that would have come from the use.
Yeah, well, there are certainly some amazing stories and some really funny ones. Like in the past, there was this teacher, I think it was a school in Pennsylvania, and she was saying that in the past she could never get parents to bring her Clorox wipes,
Okay.
and they're using a lot of them in her classroom. And so now that she has used ClassTag, she actually posted requests for these Clorox wipes, and she put a number of these sign-ups for parents to donate, because we have all of these collaboration capabilities as well. And she received 30 boxes of Clorox, and she said that she got way more big boxes of Clorox,
Yeah.
and she said that she had to go and donate them to everyone
Right.
in her building. And so it just creates this really positive connection and engagement. And I think certainly, that was just a funny example, imagining this teacher, full of these boxes of Clorox. And there are some other examples where, teachers felt that in the past they couldn't make a connection, maybe because they were grandparents and they had to, really use SMS, and they didn't have the,
Right.
more digital capabilities, and they finally were able to get through and build that relationship. So certainly seeing a lot of absolutely magic moments. We call it make it happen moments, sort of when that connection
Yeah.
and magic is happening.
Yeah, and then really final question. You have a unique funding model and cost structure for schools. Talk a little bit about that so that schools know that this is a pretty low entry point for them to get into.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that really shocked me coming from outside of education was that 94% of U.S. teachers spend $500 out of pocket
For sure.
on essential supplies, and really had to think outside the box and how do we solve a real problem and help classrooms with these supplies and make money, right? A pretty difficult, tall task. And so we make money from partnerships. So we partner with some amazing companies who want to support these classrooms. And the more parents are engaging with teachers, the more they read their messages, the more they volunteer and come to parent-teacher conference, the more supplies they can earn for their classroom. So it's really a win-win for everyone involved.
Yeah, I love it. It's a creative model. We're looking for creative solutions.
Absolutely.
And we know that this is an area that is just essential going forward. Schools don't have the people resources or the financial resources to do it alone. We need all of our parents, and we need them engaged. So thank you for your work and founding this amazing company. This has been Issues in Education, ISTE 2019. More in the future. Check out ClassTag if you get a chance. Awesome.